at the Box, presented by Got Light Installers. LSU, a 13-3 run rule victory over Nicholls. There's a lot to go through in this game. A lot of good and I think some more answers as well for this team that we could talk about going forward. It was a needed win, gets LSU to 7-1 on the season. They will now board some planes and head to Arlington, face DBU on Wednesday, then stay there for the Frisco College Baseball Classic, where they'll face Kansas State, who had a very good weekend, Nebraska, and then Sam Houston State as well. They will get back late from that trip, as the Sunday game is 4 o'clock first pitch. But we have all week to go ahead and talk about that. What we're going to talk about here tonight or today is LSU's big win over Nicholls, because it was very, very impressive. It was a great carryover from the weekend, specifically game number 3, specifically on the offensive side, with two guys in particular, in Milam and Jones, just really picking up where they left off in that third game, which was great to see. You saw William Schmidt on the mound. He was dominant for 4 2/3, very efficient as well. And then you got to see some arms out of the bullpen that you saw sparingly on the weekend, kind of get a second chance, get a little bit more work. A few mixed results there, but we will go ahead and break down all of it here over the next 20 or so minutes. So smash the like button if you have not already. Share, subscribe, your favorite podcast app, as well as the YouTube channel, and we will go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with William Schmidt. So everybody wanted to know who was going to get the start in this game. Schmidt was one guy you didn't see over the weekend. He's definitely a guy who later in his career profiles as a starter at LSU, no doubt. I mean, you look at the 3-pitch mix that he already has. They're working on a slider, the fastball, mid to upper 90s. He bumped 97 one time tonight. I thought William Schmidt obviously was fantastic. You saw the changeup flash a little bit more against Nicholls, and it was really, really good. Lynn Rollins pointed it out on the broadcast. 19 batters faced, 16 first pitch strikes. William Schmidt was absolutely in the zone. He did give up 2 runs, but only one of them was earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts, 60 pitches, 46 strikes. He was awesome, mixed well, and that was a great starting debut for William Schmidt. I mean, a fantastic starting debut for William Schmidt. The efficiency is really, really what stood out from Schmidt. So we go through the first inning for him. Is a little disappointing. He starts the hitter 0-2, and then ultimately the count runs full. He gives up the single, and then Kalura just singles on the first pitch that he sees. But then it started going. The strikeout, there was the error on Reeves before a sacrifice fly, but you had a fielder's choice to get him out of the inning. And then LSU's offense, y'all, I mean, immediate response. And that's exactly what you wanted to see coming off the weekend, where you struggled early, or not early, you struggled in the middle of that series from the 6th inning on Friday through the 8th inning in game number 1 of the doubleheader on Saturday. And then you turned it on in the 9th, and then obviously again in the nightcap of the doubleheader, and they picked right up where they left off. You had the 2 quick outs, but then Jared Jones earns a walk on 4 pitches. Josh Pearson is hit by the pitch, so you have first and second, and then it's Danny Dickinson. This is a huge spot immediately right there, because it's like, okay, you need to come up with the hit right here and tie the game. This is a spot you were in over the weekend where you had first and second, free passes, getting the guys on there, and you didn't come through with the hit. Dickinson does. And I will just continue to reiterate, that was a huge spot, ties the game for LSU. It's RBI number 12 for Dickinson. This is where he needs to hit in the lineup, right there in the middle. I would even love to see him get another shot to be behind Jared Jones. I know Jay likes to alternate righty-lefty, and I completely understand his reasoning for that, and that's great. That is your leading RBI guy, and he's done nothing but hit ropes since this season has started, and I would love to see him behind Jones, especially because no one has really grabbed a hold of that spot, right? And been like, I'm going to be the guy to hit behind Jared Jones. I think Danny Dickinson could be that. And I think the power will eventually come for him as it warms up a little bit. Larson would walk. that loaded the bases again. Aaron Beatty draws a walk to drive in a run, and then Steven Milam. And this just set the tone for him tonight. But this was a huge, huge moment, a huge spot for him, because when you consider the slow start that he got off to this season, and he did, but then you see him go 3 for 3 in the game Saturday night, the third game of that series against Omaha, for him to immediately come up, his first at-bat since then, sharp single up the middle with the bases loaded, scores 2, and it's like, okay, that's the Steven Milam we're all used to seeing. That one came from the left side. So very, very good. You have a 4 spot at your LSU, and then from there on, I mean, William Schmidt, as we said, was just in cruise control the rest of the night on the mound. So phenomenal by William Schmidt. He doesn't belong. Like, don't get me wrong, y'all. I am fired up that William Schmidt is at LSU and is playing college baseball. He just does not belong. And I'm gonna tell you this too. He's gonna get roughed up. It's going to happen because he's a freshman and he's going to face better teams than Nicholls. But what you see from Schmidt in these games, in this sample, is the stuff. And the stuff is elite. It's incredible. And once they refine that slider, he's going to have 4 pitches. And, I mean, you see why this kid was the number 1 right-handed pitcher in the country, why most people thought he was going to be a first-round draft pick, no doubt. He is out of place. And we should all be very, 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 very happy that he is out of place and playing for LSU, because that kid is destined for a great career in the purple and gold. All right. Second inning for LSU, bottom half, Jared Jones, homer. No doubter. I mean, that was beautiful. Jared Jones also thinks he's Ricky Henderson and has 2 stolen bases on the year. That was really fun to see. I don't think that's really going to be a part of his game going forward, but for now, steal him, Bear. Go ahead. I'm much more interested in how the fact that he just absolutely crushed the baseball. That home run, middle fastball, bell tie, bad pitch to anybody, really bad pitch to Jared Jones. And he deposited it about top row of the left field bleachers. If the wind isn't blowing in slightly, if there's not like that 5-6 mile per hour wind coming from the north, that ball is probably off the scoreboard. I mean, he absolutely obliterated that. You get into the 5th inning, and this is where we can have the catcher conversation a little bit. So in the 5th, Schmidt gets a strikeout looking. He then gives up a single to center, to Irvin. Irvin advances to second on a wild pitch, advances to third on a wild pitch, and then scores on a wild pitch. And y'all, let me be clear here. I'm not trying to come down on Cade Aaron Beatty. I think the kid has an incredibly bright future. So let the record show that. But this is something that I have been talking about since the preseason, that he is not comfortable back there defensively yet. The ball is getting through him. I think at this point, if they're not going to give Blaze Priester a start and let him get some extended at-bats, then Luis Hernandez has to be your catcher going forward. He just does. The guy, he didn't get a hit tonight in his 1 at-bat that he had, but he smoked the ball up the middle, and I thought it was ticketed for center field. He had 3 doubles over the weekend. Did he struggle behind the plate a little? Maybe. He had the 1 passed ball, but he also threw out 2 runners. He has been your most consistent guy. He needs to be the catcher going forward on here. That being said, they're not going to do that. They're going to continue to rotate these guys, especially in the pre-conference, and get Aaron Beatty as many reps as he can get until they hit, conference play and whatnot. And then I think they'll make their decision. And I think, barring some change, it has to be Luis Hernandez. He's a veteran guy, and he's just done really, 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 really well. Now he's starting to really hit the ball, and it'll start to fall in for him. And I think, he's your most consistent guy. That's where you have to be. Aaron Beatty's he's not there defensively yet. And again, we've been talking about this since the scrimmages, and a lot of y'all didn't like hearing me say that, but I think you're all now seeing it as well. It's just not there. and it's and it's costing you runs. Like that run, that's a 1-out single that comes around on 3 wild pitches. And the third one was a tough block, man. It was Schmidt bounced it and spiked it pretty good. But Bobby Boucher's lawnmower, great name, mentions the casual knee on the ground thrown on third. And that's not just Aaron Beatty. That is catchers everywhere these days, and I think it's inexcusable. I think that sucks. I think that is just, I don't know where along the timeline in baseball that became acceptable for catchers to just be on one knee with runners on base. And again, it's not just Aaron Beatty, it's every catcher. And I think that's stupid. I think it's just poor fundamentals, and the fact that coaches allow that bothers me. It just does. But that's today's baseball. Not just college, that's today's baseball. You see that in the major leagues too. And I for the life of me don't get it. But I am firmly in the Hernandez corner right now for catcher. I think the more and more you see, the more and more that competition gets resolved. Because that cost you a run. And I saw somebody earlier in the chat, I don't know who, am I worried about that costing LSU games later? Yes. Yes, I am. Because it's done it the last couple of years for LSU. Like, that's been a problem. So you have to get the guy who's going to be the most consistent back there. And I think as of right now, that's Luis Hernandez. You get to the bottom of the fifth, and this is where LSU broke the game open for good, a 5 spot, and it was highlighted by a Stephen Milam home run. And that was a shot, y'all. And look, we were just talking about power numbers, earlier, and when I say earlier, I mean on a previous show, and Milam, we talked about being a guy who could probably get to 10, maybe 12 home runs this year with enough at-bats. But what I love from that at-bat is it came from the right side. The single up the middle came from the left side. The homer came from the right side. We had a guy during one of the live streams a couple days ago ask about how I feel about Milam's at-bats from the right side. I feel great about it. Like, Stephen Milam is a legit switch hitter. He's great from both sides. So that was huge to see, and again, it just shows how much he's seen the ball. It was a three-run homer, gives him 5 RBI on the night. That's incredible to see. You would add a couple more. Curiel with a single to second would drive in a run. And then Jared Jones singles to center field. Another knock for Jones and another RBI. And at that point, it was pretty much over. And then we all saw what happened in the 7th inning. A couple more things, though, from a bullpen perspective. I will say that tonight I didn't think LSU's command was as great as it's been. They had 4 walks, which ties for their season high. Primo struggled to find the zone consistently. Jaden Newt struggled to find the zone consistently. Although I will say with Newt, I really do like what we've seen from him. The delivery is so consistent and easy and repeatable. It looks like he's hardly breaking a sweat out there. And, with Newt, he's in that same kind of vein of a guy like Chase Shores. That's a guy who has had 1 appearance in college baseball before this season. But you see the stuff. Like, it flashes. It's a mid-90s fastball, again, with the easy arm action. And if he can get it come about, that's a guy that is a shot in the arm for this team. But both him and Primo thought they struggled a little bit with command. I mean, both of them threw more balls than strikes in these outings. So when you're looking at the bullpen, that's a no-no. Like, you have to come in and throw strikes. But for the most part, they pitched around it. Newt was charged with the 1 run. But then you saw Maverick Rizzi, and, he was Maverick Rizzi again. So, Brock Boudreaux asking thoughts on Primo. You want him to be great. Everyone, they want him to be great. We've all wanted DJ Primo to be great for so long. But if he's going to be a bullpen arm for this team when you're that deep, and especially potentially a lefty-lefty matchup guy, he has to come in and throw strikes. Like, there is no wiggle room in a lefty-lefty matchup. You have to be a guy that is going to pound the zone. So I'm not dismissing DJ Primo. I think he's going to be very, very good. And I think he has a chance to have a great season. But there's little room for error if you're in that bullpen competing for time because there are so many arms on this LSU team. Y'all smash the like, please. Here, share if you have not already as well, and get subscribed if you have not done so already as well. We'll get to some questions here momentarily. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. You need something to upgrade your home, illuminate your space, whether it's your backyard or your front yard. Maybe you just redid your flower beds or you're in the process of doing so. Spring's coming and you're thinking, man, it looks great, but how can we keep it looking great all day, even at night? Call Gotlit Lights or go to gotlitlights.com. Let them do some permanent landscape lighting for you in your front yard and really take the curb appeal of your house to the next level. Same thing in your backyard with maybe you just got a new pool area or outdoor kitchen. You need some lights. Gotlit Lights can do that. And of course, they still have the Christmas lights come Christmas season where they will design, cut to fit, as well as install, maintain, take down, store. And of course, if you have any private events coming up, whatnot, wedding, anniversary, temporary outdoor lighting as well now from Gotlit. So gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com, Gotlit Light Installers. Tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. Okay, again, we will get to some questions. I see plenty of them coming in, and I will circle back. Just want to highlight a couple more things in the lineup. Chris Stanfield. Chris Stanfield need not ever come out of the lineup again and needs to be put back in the leadoff spot. I want to see Stanfield back hitting leadoff. It's not that you don't have other options, and I love that Tanner Reeves has gotten some run here, but Stanfield is the best leadoff option on this team, in my opinion. For the reasons that we've talked about throughout. He's a guy who can get himself to second base with one swing, which is something that Jay likes. He handles the bat well. He can bunt. He can just do so many different things. And you've seen him, from an offensive standpoint, swinging the bat, get off to a really, really hot start. He's up to 391, had 2 more hits tonight coming out off the bench. That's just a guy that I think he fits best. Out of everyone we've seen so far in that spot, he fits best. If there was one more person that I would like to see get run at that spot early while you're tinkering with it, it would be Michael Braswell. Because Braswell hit leadoff for LSU a season ago, and he did pretty well in that role. And, you know, I'd love to see him just get an extra at bat here and there in the ball game right now as he tries to fight his way through some early season struggles. It was great to see him have the base hit off the bench tonight. That was fantastic to see. Hopefully that can get him going. Kind of like, you know, you've seen Milam get going and Jones get going. Hopefully that's next in line for Michael Braswell, because not only he's your best option at third base as well. I like Tanner Reeves a lot, and I know that Jay Johnson likes Tanner Reeves a lot. And I think Tanner Reeves has a lot of good things. I think he fits best at second base, and he's not going to play second base on this team right now because of Danny Dickinson. And I just think it's been a little hit or miss with him over at third base so far early in this season. So I would look for Michael Braswell to really start getting the run there again, and maybe you see him in the leadoff spot, but if not, it should be Chris Stanfield all day. And that first 3 in your order of Stanfield, Curiel, Jones, you hit on that early in the season, and I think that's just kind of where you need to leave it. If I'm being quite honest there. But overall, y'all, that was a great offensive night. And again, of LSU's 13 runs, 11 of them were driven in. You left 8 guys on base, but you banged out 10 hits. That's how it's supposed to look. Like, that's how Jay wants it to look. I thought the aggressive base running was fantastic again tonight offensively. That's how it should go for an LSU offense under Jay Johnson. Again, you're not going to score 13 runs every game, and we get that. But the functionality of it is what we're talking about, and you kind of saw that on full display. I'm also going to be curious to see John Pearson get a little bit more run. That's the last thing I wanted to say before we turn this over to questions. John Pearson smoked that ball earlier tonight. Off the bat, I thought it had a chance to get out of the park. Ultimately, it didn't. But I'm curious to see if we don't see him get a little bit more going. Okay. So there's kind of my overall thoughts on the game. Questions. What do we have? Y'all smash the like button if you have not already. 136 people watching, just 33 likes. Smash the like buttons. Tommy White burner. I'm not touching that. Not touching that one. Omar the Tiger. Stanfield started tonight. Yes. Did I say he didn't? I apologize if I said that he didn't. Tanner Thurman. Who should the right fielder be? That's still up in the air. I think you're going to see that depend a lot on who's on the mound. You have 3 left-handed options there. You could pick either one. If there's a lefty on the mound, I think you could see Ethan Fry get the start at DH, and then you take one of the remaining guys and stick them in left. That's not settled yet, so I'm not sure. I still favor Jake Brown in that spot. Just because, that's a guy who was a center fielder for you a season ago. Like, he's probably your best, he is your best defensive option there. So I favor him in that spot. But if Pearson and Larson are hitting the ball better than him, well, you don't lose much from a defensive standpoint with either of them out there either. So that one's still up there. Bryce Jackson, John Pearson at DH. I'd love to see it for a game. Yeah. I would love to see that for a game. Like I said, I want to see more of him. Reed Rule, does Connor Ware start versus Dallas Baptist? That's my guess, yeah. I think that's the direction they were going to go anyway, to be brutally honest. It looked to me like he was the one keeping the chart as well, next to Nate Yeski, which is always a great indicator of who's going to get the start the next day. So, yeah, I do think it's going to be Connor Ware. I think they just want to use him in that role now. I think when you get to SEC play, he's absolutely going to be a guy that you see out of the bullpen. He's just too valuable to this team to not pitch in that role. All right, what else we got? Keep them coming. GN, what's up with Guidry? I don't know who that is. Who is Guidry? Is Gavin is he still on the team? Is that a guy on the team? I don't know. I remember a freshman named Gavin Guidry, but I don't think that guy's on the team. I don't know who that is. So, yeah, I've got nothing for you there. Yeah, no, in all seriousness, I saw, just scrolling Twitter right after the game, the report, Cloud Zach put it in there, that John Eads from AFB said that Jay addressed it and that Guidry's out with an injury. Okay, and that it was recent. Okay, if that's, all right. Jay should have no reason to lie about that, but all of it looks a little fishy. With it, you being 8 games into this and you haven't seen him, and then I don't know. I don't really want to touch that. If he's hurt, you wish him health, and he's back when he's back. I think ultimately you know what you have in Gavin Guidry. I just want to see him because I want to see the uptick in stuff that everybody has talked about, where they've mixed in a changeup, the fastball's more 93 to 94, and and of course the hammer slider. So look, we will see. If Gavin Guidry, if it's hurt, if it's new, you wish him speedy recovery. If this has been something that's going on, you wish him, speedy recovery. When he's out there, he's out there. The whole thing has just felt a little fishy the deeper and deeper that you get into this season. But hopefully you see him this weekend. Reed Rule, speaking of missing pitchers, where's Chandler Dorsey at? That's great. I don't know. I don't know where he's at. He had a great final scrimmage, and you haven't seen him. Noah Lejeune, are you implying that Guidry's in trouble? No, I'm not. No, not at all. I think he's in great standing. No. It's just weird that you haven't seen him up to this point, and now it's, you're 8 games in, and he's got a little bit of an injury. Okay, well, Jay said Thursday morning he woke up with that. Okay, if that's what happened, okay, fine. Again, Jay Johnson has no reason to lie about any of this. He doesn't. There is no good reason for him to not be telling the truth. So you go with it, and when you see Guidry, you see Gavin Guidry. Mo for Musso. Now, that's a great Twitter, great YouTube handle. I don't know what your comments are. What have you been asking, Mo? These things come in fast and furious, my guy. They come in fast and furious. Ryan O'Connor, do we see Eddie Yaman get some at-bats? Man, if you haven't already, I don't know if that's in there right now, in their plans. there's been opportunities to get him in. It's gone to Dalton Beck and Mick Paul and guys like that. So right now it's hard to say. You haven't seen him. Okay, let me see if I can go back and find some of Mo's comments. Let's see. Mentioned Gavin Grahovac being out for A&M. That is huge. Yes, I mean that is a big loss for the Aggies. And also, they're still missing Caden Sorrell as well. They really need to get Caden Sorrell back in the lineup. Or that's you have Jay Slavulette, and he's really good. But man, if you don't get Sorrell back and now losing Grahovac for the entire year, that is crippling. That is a crippling blow to Texas A&M. What's everything about merch? What are y'all talking about merch? Everyone just keeps commenting merch. That you'd buy merch. What kind of merch? Merch. Ryan O'Connor, merch. What kind of merch? Yes, Bobby Boucher's lawnmower, shoulder surgery for Grahovac. I mean, that's tough. And also, Musso merch. Okay, there is an avenue for that. And I've actually been playing around with some designs. So actually stay tuned for that. I was actually just having a conversation with somebody about that at work the other day. So stay tuned for Moose with the Box merch. But yeah, on the Grahovac front, he's a great player, and you don't wish injury on anybody. So while that hurts A&M, and yeah, that helps LSU, obviously, you wish Gavin Grahovac the best in a speedy recovery. That kid's got a bright future in this game, and you hate to see someone like that go down. So really wish a speedy recovery for Gavin Grahovac, because that does suck for him personally. I'm not really going to shed a tear for A&M, but for Grahovac as a person and as a ball player, he's a stud, and you want him to get back for the good of college baseball. So wish him a speedy recovery. All right, a few more. Let's get a few more questions in. A few more questions in here, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Unless y'all don't have anything else. Okay. Let's call it then right there, guys. Moose with the Box presented by Got Lit Lights. Y'all go to gotlitlights.com, get a quote. Trust me, you want to work with Derek and his team. They're incredible. LSU 13-3 winners. We will be back after the DBU game. And of course, we got to preview the DBU game and all that. So stay tuned, keep it locked. Moose with the Box the rest of the week. Appreciate everybody, and be here next time for more.